Okay, next we're going to talk about slope. And of course, you think of slope, you might think of just going downhill skiing because you're going down the slope, or maybe on your roof, you're talking about the incline or the slope of the roof. Sometimes we call it the pitch. But these are actually what slope basically is kind of the steepness of a line. Okay? We did call it rate of change yesterday, and essentially the same thing, but probably from here on out, I just want you to know this words are the same, but we will refer to it most of the time as slope. And I usually bring Mr. Potato Head along to help explain what we do with slope. And Mr. Potato Head is always concerned about his figure, and he's always looking, maybe he wants to improve his health a little bit, so he's on a workout regimen. He's making sure he's getting his 3 workouts a week or whatever it is, 30 minutes a day. So when he works out, he only travels from left to right. And you're like, that's just weird, Mrs. Talley. And I will say to you, I'm trying to work Mr. Potato Head into this lesson, so it'll be a little weird. All right, Mr. Potato Head only travels left to right. And once again, he's working on his overall personal health. So if we've got Mr. Potato Head here, he can only go left to right on his workout. He's going uphill, right? Going up this steep hill. That's his workout. All right, he's going up. He's running out of breath. His muscles are working. He is burning off some calories as he goes. This is what we call, for Mr. Potato Head, a positive workout. So we call it a positive slope. All right, Mr. Potato Head, once again, only travels left to right. Here he is up here, and if he goes left to right, he's going down the hill. He's probably sitting on a sled or something, going down a hill on a sled. And even worse, he's probably eating some French fries along the way. Okay, not that funny. All right, so there's Mr. Potato Head. We call this slope negative, because that's a negative workout for Mr. Potato Head. So we say negative slope because he's not burning any calories, just sitting and going down that hill. So anytime you see a line that's kind of downhill, left to right, you're going to call it a negative slope line. All right, Mr. Potato Head. Oops, don't want to do that. Mr. Potato Head has another workout. This is workout C option. All right, he's walking along. So he's burning some calories, but he's not going up the hill. He's not working up a big sweat. He's just walking along, and for all we know, he's probably eating some potato chips at the same time. Okay, still, not that funny. All right, so this is kind of, the potato chips he's eating along with the walking that he's doing are probably canceling each other out. And what number would be representative of canceling each other out? We would say this slope is 0. I don't want you to use a different word for it. I just want you to have 0 slope. 0 slope. All right, and then this is Mr. Potato Head, and this is the workout that he doesn't like to mention too much, but here he is. If he travels left to right, he goes from here down here. I only have 2 words for you here. Mashed potatoes. Yeah, once again, not that funny. Okay, so Mr. Potato Head, a bunch of mashed potatoes down there at the bottom. And so this slope, after this, undefined slope. I don't want you to say nothing. I don't want you to say 0. Undefined is your only option for words there. That slope is undefined. Okay. That is your little lesson on slopes, the basics there. All right, we've already talked about slope or rise, not rise over run, but slope as rate of change. We already talked about this change in y over change in x. Okay, we did talk a little bit about rise over run. Okay, the reason that is because your y-axis goes up and down. So your rise positive, rise negative when you're going down, Running is this way. When you go into the left, you're running negative. When you're going to the right, you're running positive. So that's why we have rise over run. The Y is the up-down part. The X is the left-right part. Plus, I would say you have to rise out of bed before you can go for a run. So rise over run. And then, of course, this you're familiar with too, with the rate of change, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so we have all these options for slope, and they apply in different cases. This is wonderful for points. This is wonderful just in a general thing to fall back on, and this is wonderful in a graph. Okay, so if you did not write it already, and just because I spent time figuring out how to do this, slope is rise over run. Slope, rise over run. Okay, this works in graphs. Now, you look at this graph, and we actually want to give it a value. We want to say this workout, it could be a value of 10 for Mr. Potato Head, or it could have a value of 2. We just need to make sure that we've give it some kind of a rating system. Kind of like when you do go downhill skiing, don't they have different names for different kinds of slopes? You know, there's the bunny hill, and then there's something called, I don't know what they call it, gun barrel or something. I don't know where that, I don't know if that's up here or somewhere else. Okay, now, it's going to be hard to do this unless you have like actual points to go from. So what I would suggest is you find a corner. When I say a corner of your graph, see how this line right here is touching, of course, I don't know what you can see, but that corner. And we don't, that's not, I'm sorry, that is not a corner. But if I look here, this line is crossing at a corner. Okay, if I go along, that's not a corner. It crosses a line here, not a corner, not a corner. Here's a corner. Not a corner, not a corner. Oh, here's a corner. Do you see what's kind of happening? It seems to be about spaced at even intervals that I've got corners. Okay, when I'm working with a graph, I want to use rise over run. So if I pick this point, I'm going to highlight this, to get from here to here, I want to find out how much I rise. Rise is up and down. Well, I'm going up this way, that's 2, and I'm running this amount, that's 3. Just double check. Rising 2, running 3. So my slope, aka rise over run, is rise 2, run 3. And here's the cool thing, it happens again and again. Rise 2, run 3, puts me at the dot. Rise 2, run 3, puts me at this dot. Rise 2, run 3, puts me at that dot. Okay, now let's say you're super crazy and you're like, Mrs. Talley, I want to go from this dot up to this one. And I would say, wow, you're super crazy. Let's try it out. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you rise 6, and then you got to run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So then you're like, oh, Mrs. Talley, I have a different answer than you. I have a slope of 6 over 9. But I say, oh, wait. We cannot leave our slope in non-reduced form. We must reduce. So 3 goes into 6 twice. 3 goes into 9 3 times. Oh, same slope, isn't it? Now, if you're really, really super duper crazy, then you might be the student that wants to do something like this. You want to pick this dot and go to this dot. And I say, hey, you're super duper crazy. But let's say you go this way. Oh my goodness, but now you're rising down. If you're rising down, you're going negative 4 units. And if you're running back this way, then you call it a negative run. So you're running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's a negative 6. And if you were going to write that on your paper, you would not get full credit because that is not in reduced form. But if you start reducing that, 2/3. 2/3. 2/3. It doesn't matter how you figure the slope as long as you do it right and you simplify, you're going to get a slope of 2/3. Okay. Here's another one. First, I'd find those corners. A lot of times I give you corners, but I don't always. The book does not always do that. You need to find them yourself. Okay? This is not a corner. That's a corner. Not a corner. That's a corner. Corner. Oh my gosh, it seems to go up at equal intervals. All right? And once again, you can make this simple. We don't have to do 4 different ways. but I'm going to rise from here to here. I rise 2, and I run 1. And you know what's always good in addition to that is to just keep going. Check. Am I rising 2, running a run? Oh yeah, it seems to keep hitting a corner. Rise 2, run 1. So I have a slope of 2. Okay, so my slope on this case is 2. And if you did something crazy and you went from here down to here, you'd find you rise -4, run -2. Oh yeah, you already get the same answer. And always double check. If you got a positive 2, isn't this a positive workout for Mr. Potato Head? Compare it to the previous picture. This has a slope of 2/3. Which number's bigger? Well, 2 is bigger than 2/3, and that's a much steeper hill for Mr. Potato Head. So the higher the number, the more positive of a workout it is for Mr. Potato Head. Whoa! What's this one? Positive slope or negative slope? All right, if you think back to Mr. Potato Head, you know you're going to need a negative number. So this is a negative slope. Find some corners. Corner, corner, corner. Oh, yeah. Okay, and if I want to pick, and maybe I miss a corner along the way, like I just didn't happen to notice that one or something, I rise -2, and now I'm running this direction, which is 6. So rise -2, run 6, reduce -1/3. Let's just check. If I go from this one to this one, do I rise -1, run +3, rise -1, run +3. I keep getting to the next dot. So I would say this looks like the correct answer for that slope. And please note, it is negative, and my line is a negative slope, which is what we need. We're just doing a double check on that. Whoa! You guys should know already what your slope is, but I want to explain why it's 0. Just because Mr. Talley, me, Mrs. Talley, and Mr. Potato Head think this is 0 slope. Let me show you why that is. Pick a corner. You can pick this one right here if you wanted. You could pick this as a corner. I mean, there's lots of different ones you can pick, but only in this one would you get by with not having equal increments. But I'm going to just pick those 2. All right? What's my rise to get from here to here? There is no rise, right? My rise is actually 0. What's my run? 1, 2, 3, 4. 0 over 4. 0 divided by anything is 0. And that is why you have a slope of 0. If you go from here to here, this one to this one, you're rising 0, running 3. 0 divided by 3, 0. So that is why Mr. Potato Head on this particular workout has a workout of 0. All right, here we have a vertical line. You already know it's undefined, but let's talk about why. Pick a point. I'm picking another point. To get from here to here, my rise is -3. So from here to here, I have a rise of -3. What's my run? I don't have to do any running. It's like directly below it. So I have -3 over 0. Well, wait. -3 divided by 0 doesn't work. When you do it on your calculator, you get no solution, or you can't divide, or can't divide by 0, something like that. And this is our cue that we're going to write that special word, undefined. Okay, your slope is undefined when it is a vertical line. Okay, we just need to talk about what happens when you have different scales on your graph, because like all these, we're counting by ones, and sometimes we just don't count by ones. So I'm going to call this 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And if I go this way, I'm going to count, let's call this 10, 20, 30, 40, I don't need to make a mark every one, 50, 60. All right, so now I see a corner right here. I'm still going to find a corner here. And if I wanted to keep going, I'd find a corner here. A lot of us want to look at this and say, hey, rise 2, run 3, but you're not rising 2. That from here to here is a rise of 2 squares, but every square represents 10 this way. So I actually have a rise of 20, because from here to here is 10, here to here is another 10. So I'm going to put 20 in there. I should have squeezed that all in there. And then if I'm running, you're like thinking, hey, I'm running 3 squares. But if you're running 3 squares, every square represents 5. So I'm running from 5 to 20, which is a run of 15. So I'm rising 20, and I'm running 15. So I have that rise over run. Oh, wait a minute. 20 over 15? Well, that's not reduced. So divide by 5 in both cases, and I get 4/3. So this has a slope of 4 over 3. Okay, let's just say I want to count by 2's this way. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. And I want to count by, let's just do 10's. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and so on. All right, I got to find some corners. This looks like a wonderful corner right here. And it looks like maybe I have a corner down here. And maybe a corner even in here. Okay, rise over run. So I'm rising, -2. Oh, but it's not -2. That's what we all want to think. It's actually -20. And I'm going to run, not 3, but I'm running 2, 4, 6, 8. Every square is 2, so I'm going 2, 4, 6. So that's actually a run of 6. So I'm going to have -20 over 6, which is reducing down to -10/3. So my slope in this case is -10 over 3. So you have to know what you're counting by with your x and your y axis. Okay, I'm going to stop the video here, but I will make a part 2 for a slope video.